What's going on? Peace to the fam. Thank you for tuning in to another IAmSankofa TV Food for Thought Sundays. This will be the New Year's Eve wrap up. We're gonna go over a couple things. Peace to the sister Jade. I see you in the chat. It's gonna be kind of a wrap up. We're gonna deal with things that happened throughout the year that's notable. That we can remember. We're gonna go over some of the current issues that we see. Especially between the brother Umar Johnson and the brother Tariq Nasheed. Give a couple thoughts on that. I got my own perspective. I talked about it in my last video. I kind of feel brothers shouldn't really be beefing like that on the internet or in videos. I think that's something that need to be handled behind closed doors. But we'll get into that. Let me get in the chat. For some of the family that's in Europe, they already had their New Year's Day. All right, Jade, I'll be here. I know my family in the UK, they already had their New Year's Eve. So, Happy New Year's Day to you. We got a couple more hours left here on the East Coast in the US. Like the show ain't gonna be too long. I'm gonna go. I got my kids some fireworks, so I'm gonna let them go pop a couple here in a second. Take my queen out for a nice little dinner or something to bring in the new year right. But first and foremost, before I forget, I'm gonna go ahead and get on this topic of Tariq Nasheed and brother Umar Johnson. Now, though I have my opinions on both individuals, I'm gonna try to remain neutral. I know it's hard, but I'm gonna try to remain neutral. First, I'm gonna start with Tariq Nasheed. Now, I'm gonna be real. I feel like the Hidden Colors series was very informative. There's a lot of people who have to be honest with themselves and understand that a lot of the information that they on YouTube talking about now, they probably heard it or seen it in a Tariq Nasheed Hidden Colors, 1 through 4, or his new movie 1804. Which, by the way, I'll go ahead and admit I helped. I did donate some money to the brother to help pay for that movie. But in a sense, you can see, possibly the brother may be doing it just for financial gain. I know he was, rumor has it that he may have been doing some, not so cool occupations back in the day, which I can't speak on because I don't have no evidence of it. But he sort of did just pop on the scene, with the conscious wave, like deciding at us, throwing out the DVDs and trying to bring like some conscious content to the people. But of course, it was definitely selling those. So that's Tariq Nasheed. That's how I came into knowing who Tariq Nasheed was. It was from the actual Hidden Colors 2, actually, that made me go buy Hidden Colors 1. Umar. Now, for those of you who contributed to Brother Umar's GoFundMe page and you have a complaint about where's the school or where's some plans, some blueprints, I think I said that in my last video, that's a solid question. Not to demean the brother's character or anything, but if you pay money into something, you want to know where that money's at. That's nothing that I feel like Umar should be, neglecting to answer. He definitely should keep the people informed on, what he's doing with the money. I don't think the rhetoric that the brothers are spewing back and forth to each other is healthy. I think the enemy is watching. They probably laughing. Like, look at these brothers going back and forth. I really don't think that's healthy. Any beefs that we have, one thing my grandpa used to teach me was never beef or have issue with your brother in public, because your enemy may be watching that and may use that person against you. Now, I channel Navy Fuller Jr. is if I have issue with you, I just won't build with you. We'll stay away from each other. But in no way, shape, or form are you going to use me, especially if it's someone that's outside of the community. You're going to use me and go against that brother. We may disagree, but you're not going to use me as a pawn or a tool to help shoot that brother down. And if that's happening, if brothers are being employed by certain individuals or certain boards to go after Brother Umar, they should be ashamed of themselves. I think Chancellor Williams had a quote that's saying that, everyone screams about the white man's genocide. and he was like, the white man doesn't have to um, commit the genocide. He can just stand to the side, and we'll do it to ourselves. I'm paraphrasing if I misquoted the ancestor, um, but it's true. I don't know who said it, but someone said like we'll team up. It may have been Tariq Nasheed, but he was like initially, we'll team up and organize when it comes to tearing down a brother or a sister. We good at that. As long as you organizing appropriately to shut down the other side, shut down this known enemy that we know we have. I will hope you'll do the same to them. To the time, who, as Brother Jabari say. But ultimately, I hope those brothers can meet up, sit face to face, and handle those issues like men, and then come back in front of people on United Front. But I mean, I seen the brother Tariq Nasheed last video when he went off. I mean, he let Umar have it, call him you moist, and the whole nine. So it's entertainment in one sense, but on the other sense, it's kind of sad. You don't want to go into a new year with old year beefs. I don't think it's healthy. I think, especially for the babies, for the youth out here, they need to see us unified because we're not going to agree. Right, Jay? You moist walrus. Like he put, and I follow the brother Tariq Nasheed on Instagram. He threw up a whole bunch of walrus dolls he's about to buy and send to Umar. I mean, it's funny. Like I said, it's entertainment. I hope it stays on wax. I hope it don't come into like physical blows and brothers trying to fight each other and meet up. Cause that's whack, man. It's all good, Jade. I'm here. Um, but this is like, wow, it was unexpected to me because, like I said, I seen Umar and Hidden Colors too, and I thought everything was cool. I didn't think these brothers really had any issues. And in my opinion, my sincerest opinion, I feel like the brother Tariq Nasheed in his first video, he could have went and lashed out and called Umar fraud, and that's his opinion if he believes so. But he kind of gave it a pass and was like, "Listen, I think it's whack that they trying to get to that brother." He said it was whack, and he said charge it to the game, and that's true. Sister J, Tariq Nasheed said that he was not a leader. Now, just let's get on Umar. Now, Umar, he called himself the Prince of Pan Africanism. He called himself Notorious RBG. He called himself the most booked or sought after African American lecturer. And I think some of this heat you put in yourself. Leaders don't pick themselves. Leaders are chosen by the people, in my opinion. If you're really a leader, you're doing your thing out here in the streets for your people. You don't have to stand in front of everyone and say how you're the Prince of Pan Africanism. I never heard Dr. Clark or Dr. Ben say that. I mean, just to use those two men, because those are, to me, my two spiritual teachers. The greats, you don't have to hear them say. J.J. Rawlins, Thomas Sakara, Steve Biko. I don't never remember any of them getting in front of the people and saying, "Hey, I'm your leader. I'm notorious Thomas Sakara." I don't never remember him saying that. So I think there's an ego involved. And I think there's a high level of emotionalism. I think these brothers need to go see counseling. You know. Peace to Sister Teresa in the chat. How you doing, sis? I think there's some emotion involved. I mean, I didn't come up that way. I know them brothers are probably older than me, but I threw in the chat yesterday on Six Dynasty, sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. Some of these brothers seem to be hurt when you say something sideways to them. And in my opinion, like I said, I don't think Tariq said anything sideways. He was just giving his opinion. Like, hey, charge us to the game, If anything, you know, help the brother reach out to Umar and see that he needs some assistance with planning his school. You know, ask the brother help. I think the Sister Sherry on the Dagger Squad show broke it down beautifully, ways in which we can protect ourselves from, you know, these boards and the state trying to come after us via our credentials or our licenses. You know, to protect yourself via having a business or a 501c3. But we know once you stand out in front of the enemy, you know, he most definitely going to come after you. And one thing you can't do is attack your own base, the people who you now asking support for, especially when you coin yourself as a leader. I think we got to be careful. Because I guarantee you that the powers that be, the individuals who are going after Umar, using these videos, especially the videos that will be attacking them, they're going to use that against him. So I wish the brother nothing but the best. I hope he goes in there and wins whatever case they got against him, and then hope he gets back out here and start doing his thing to help the people. The only thing I can say for the brother, and I need to do it on my own and myself as well, is, you know, put your pride to the side. You know, smother that ego. Cause that ego gonna get you in trouble. You're gonna mess around and burn a bridge that you're gonna need one day. I think the elder Phil Valentine and his I ain't gonna say it's his last lecture, but the lecture he did at Sarnetta videotape. Just go back and listen to that. I'm not saying necessarily the scientific information, but just the part in which he was going after so-called leaders, so-called lecturers within the community, that you can obviously tell that their ego and pride was being put before the people. I think the elder, you know, he definitely dropped some gems.
Happy New Year.
Peace, Jay. Happy New Year. How you doing?
I'm good. Just been a whole 2-day drama, which, if I have to be really honest, I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. It's funny what's been going on. I mean, it's sad, but it is funny. To be perfectly honest,
it is entertaining. I ain't gonna front. It is.
It's very entertaining.
The knee slapper. You know,
it's really entertaining. You know, it's, you see, the thing is with the whole situation is that some people make claims. It's like, don't check you can't cash. So don't say that you're this and I'm the most requested this and you puff yourself up to be this person. Okay. Now, when you have to deliver and you fall short, then what? Then when people start to look at you kind of funny, then you want to blame people. When you've made yourself out to be this perfect, holier than thou, I'm right on this, I know this, and you repeat the same sentence like 50 times and refer to yourself in the third person, all that kind of weird stuff. And then when things go left, you want to get upset.
That's true.
I mean,
a lot of these things he did definitely bring on himself. I think where he really went wrong as when he started attacking the so-called Hoteppers. I really don't know what that means, but the ones who subscribe to, you know what I'm saying, comedic philosophy, he called them Hoteppers, but he attacks them a lot. You know, and Tariq Nasheed used that word as well, the Hoteppers. But you can't attack the people that you're supposed to be speaking for. The people that
that's the thing. It's like, you know, you love everyone when they're giving you money, your shows and doing all this kind of stuff. And now when something doesn't go your way, and bearing in mind, you haven't really proven or verified who's done what, then you're saying, oh, it's just black people doing this and that and this and that. And you haven't even shown any proof.
Exactly.
So who are you blaming? It could be anyone. And I don't know if you saw Chief X's video that he did. He did an analysis on it.
No, I
and he did a really good video on it. And he used Dr. Phil as an example. Got in trouble for the same thing, where when Britney Spears was going through that whole meltdown like 10 years ago, he said that he was going to go and I guess maybe give her some kind of treatment, and he misspoke because he didn't have a license in California to practice psychology, so he got in trouble. And what it was is it wasn't kind of just some regular vigilante do-gooder or someone within the field. So before you go out just blaming regular black people who may have a grudge with you or feel that you're misappropriating funds, maybe it's someone within your field.
That's true. I didn't
You
think
need to
about
be
that.
looking
I
at.
didn't think about another psychiatrist that may, disagree with a scholarship. It could
Right,
be.
because I've seen videos and heard the different shows and stuff like that that are on YouTube. I mean, they're out there. And you've got other psychologists who are saying that he's not going according to the code, like how they're supposed to be. So, you can have people that are disgruntled that don't like what he's saying, what he's doing. They say, he's not going by the book and he's making us all look bad or something like that. I mean,
I mean,
it does just have to be the regular person, because regular people won't have that same kind of pull. Like, for instance, let's say that you're a pharmacist, and I just say, here's me, someone just walking in and say, right, you're doing everything wrong in this pharmacy. You're not giving out the right medication. You're not giving out the right dosages. You're doing something illegal with the prescriptions. If I was to report you to whoever the authority is over chemistry or pharmacy, I need to believe me, the layman, or another pharmacist who sees that there's something wrong, another person who's licensed, certified, has all the credentials necessary to open and run a pharmacy.
Makes sense.
Right. I mean, it would make a lot more sense. Do you really just think that someone's just going to call up the state board of psychology or whatever and just say, he's doing this, that, and the other, and sort it out?
I mean, they got to have some type of case. I think Haven brought up documentation of some alleged charges that the board has brought up against them, and from what it seems like, they have some actual gripes and complaints. But whether or not they're able to take his credentials, I don't really think that's.
Well, you can't. Here's the thing. When it comes to things like, if you get like an honorary doctorate or like an honorary PhD, that you can revoke that easily because you didn't do anything to earn it. You're just given it, so you can take it away. But he earned it. You earned your PhD. Now, if it comes to licensing, if you do have a license, then yeah, they can revoke it. The same way if I get a driver's license and everywhere I go, I'm going at 100 miles an hour in a 30 zone, you have every right to take my license. Because you can't, license belongs to the state or to the driving authority or to whoever gives you the license. They can revoke it for whatever reason. But I do not believe that you can just snatch someone's hard-earned credentials like that. It doesn't make any sense because you don't like what they're saying. I'm going to take your PhD. I mean, have there really been any other cases where this has happened?
Well, how much of it do you think is actual factual basis? Like, do they have a factual basis that's based off scholarship and what against what he's doing, or do you think is they actually see that he's changing the way school psychiatrists are able to diagnose our children that's in these schools? Do you think is that, or do you think it's write an exact gripe and complaint that the board actually has against them?
I'll say it's both. And what I mean by both is they see a change, yes, which they don't like. But the loophole is that they see that he may not be licensed, and they'll use that as the reason why they're coming after him. So you can completely ignore the conjecture and the emotion on how you feel, what they're doing to him because of how you feel. The fact is, if you are not licensed, that there is the main issue, and they can just use that as the main issue. Because what if you're not licensed? Well, then clearly what you're doing is wrong. You cannot do that. Then the state has every right. So they're using that as the main focus point. That's what I would say to that.
I agree in a sense. Anytime we got a brother from the community or a sister from the community that's stepping out there and challenging the status quo, and trying to bring truth and right information to the people. You're definitely gonna have those who don't like that because you're messing with their pockets.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty sure those drug companies that are prescribing our children with those pills, they probably some backdoor stuff going on. Most definitely.
Right. But I mean, at the same time, you know what you're getting into. Here's the thing: you say that you look at the story of Marcus Garvey and so on and so forth. Yes, when you're doing what you're doing, you need to make sure that you have all your I's dotted and your T's crossed with what you're doing. Have all your ducks in a row. Because anytime that you're out of line with something, and it's something like that where you could have just gone and renewed it, then I mean, who else do you really want to blame? Because again, it could just be the fact that you're not licensed. They can just take that part, take away all the emotionalism of he's teaching and he's waking people up and this is wrong and they're just attacking him because of that. If all it took was just to renew your license to avoid all of this, then I mean that's your fault.
That's the tomfoolery behind. We know the rules to the game. If we're gonna participate in this society, we know there's rules and guidelines that we're gonna have to abide by, or they can attack us like this. So for those individuals who feel like you can like supersede the government or supersede any of these state, local, and federal laws, you can't do it.
Right. That's the problem.
Citizen. So
that's the issue there.
I can understand you may not think you need a license, but to practice, to have any type of business anywhere, you're gonna need a permit and you're gonna need a license. Period.
Right, and then don't cry when authorities are calling you in for a court hearing. Don't cry. You know what you're getting yourself into. So don't go blaming people. If all you really needed to do was be licensed or renew your license or get your license or acquire a license and you chose not to, and then you get caught out, that's on you. That's no one else's fault. But now, because people have a gripe with you for whatever reason over the money or what you said, or some people just have vendetta, that now you're deflecting, and rather than saying, you know what, yeah, I didn't have my license and I was doing this, and this is partially my fault, blah blah blah, you just say, well, it's just everyone else that doesn't like me has something out against me and just reported me, and just ignore the fact that I may or may not have a license.
I mean, he has to own it. I mean, Umar knows. I'm pretty sure he knows and understands the charges that are brought before him. It's not a surprise. But if his argument is that he doesn't need it, that he's not practicing, then he has a point as well. But blaming the people, like I'm not gonna blame the people if I don't have no proof of it. I'm not gonna use ancestors like Marcus Garvey as a way to make my case either. If you have proof that an individual put you on blast, then we need names.
Right. But what you're doing is you're just blaming the people.
He has to take ownership of what he got himself into, most definitely. And I think in regards to the charges that Pennsylvania has brought up against Brother Umar, I'm not even really concerned about that. What I'm worried about,
I mean, they're not that. In a sense, they're serious, but they're not that serious. It's not a thing of these are really peculiar charges that will show some kind of maybe racial bias or some sort of out to get someone kind of thing. This is just you have no license, or we cannot see that you have a license, and you've been practicing without a license. That applies to people who are black, white, Chinese, whoever. If you are practicing without a license, you can get in trouble. And the same thing that I said with the Dr. Phil example. Dr. Phil's a guy that's on TV, not just nationally in the US, but all over America. I mean, pardon me, all over the world. He shows here, he shows in Europe, he shows everywhere. So if he's someone that big that can be taken down because of him misspeaking or being able to treat someone, then yeah, you can get it too.
I mean, he has to eat that one. But more importantly than the charges is the school. To those
when it comes into fruition is one thing.
To those within the community that contributed to his GoFundMe, I'm surprised. What shocks me is I haven't seen a legit video from Umar Johnson addressing the questions about what's going on with the school. I mean, I'm talking about like a straight up, like how they did Polite in regards to the books and
Yep.
the paperwork. Polite actually did a show on Sinetta. He came on Sinetta and they asked people to call in who had gripes and complaints about Brother Polite, and he addressed them right there. I haven't seen Umar try to take that step into completely exonerating himself, getting rid of all doubt, and saying, "Listen, this is where this money went. This is where this pot of money has gone. I purchased this, that, and the third." I haven't seen it. What you feel about that?
Well, see, to me now, that's a sign of dishonesty. It's definitely alarming, simply because, I mean, everyone's saying, oh, he doesn't have to show you anything. Actually, you do. In my opinion, this will be my opinion. Now, people might say, oh, well, what do you know? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I did business studies, worked in retail and, business and seeing how things run in a business. And I mean, it's not just about business. If you're gonna get money off of someone and you're saying, look, I intend to do this with your money, whether it's a donation, a loan, a grant, you need to stick to what you said you were going to do with that money. And the least that you can do is be transparent with it, because this is people's money, donation or not, it's still an investment. People are still investing. They're giving you their money because they plan to see your school within a set time that you've given. So, people are asking questions because, hey, we're giving you money, we're trying to see what's going on. There was all this promise of, like, I remember one promise was for everyone that donated, you'll get like a name engraved in a plaque or something like that to honor your donation, that it came into fruition. Okay, cool. Time is not getting any slower. Time is not slowing down. Things are still getting worse in education systems and things like that. Kids are getting older and dumber by going through public school, and people kind of want to know what's going on with it now. If you're going to be shady, that rings alarm bells, especially for people that don't always have it, but this is like their final hope. That just speaks volumes to me. And think about the amount of money that he has as well. And I'm not trying to be like, looking at how much money he's got and he could have been doing this, but seriously, you have quite a lot of money. People kind of have the right to get suspicious if you're not going to be transparent, and that's just how it goes. If I'm a bank, let's say, and I'm loaning you money and you're being really evasive with what you're going to do with that money, why would I give you the money? I wouldn't do it.
I mean, I just need to see that from Umar. I need to see an effort to, because I mean, he has to feel it. I mean, if he's doing, I'm pretty sure those people that he's going to their city to do lectures, I'm pretty sure someone within that lecture gave money, and maybe that's where he's addressing it. So I don't want to say that he's not. I just haven't seen it, because if you can get online, make multiple Instagram posts, make multiple YouTube videos about Tariq Nasheed, I need to see that same effort when it comes to letting these people know where their money went.
Right. And that's another thing as well. Now, you're saying, what do you do, Tariq? What do you do? Like, look at me, I save lives. And Tariq made a good point. That's not quite tangible because, I mean, you'd have to prove it that you did. And kind of, if you let's say that you brought out a line of people, and it'll be like the Dr. Sabi case, which is what Chief X also made a comparison of. And you bring out all these people saying that these are people that you've treated, then if you don't have a license, you just shot yourself in the foot. These are people that I have treated without a license. Tariq, he said he runs businesses, employs black people only. So, he's paying wages. He has a physical product that helps people learn. It's an educational tool that he's provided. And, I mean, that doesn't get any more tangible.
I mean, we also got to be, we also have to be honest too when he actually asks, what is Tariq Nasheed doing? I mean, Hidden Colors 1-4 and the movie 1804 are very informative. especially for those in the community who don't have a proper understanding of not only the history in America, but the history of the family all over the world.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't just Umar Johnson on that documentary. It was Professor James Small, uh, Booker T. Coleman,
Right, and these are experienced and seasoned and well versed people in the history subject that they're talking about.
professors and doctors. Anthony Browder, who I think is the first African American or person of African descent to lead a dig in Kemet. I think
Wow.
I forgot the tomb that he found, but I put it in the chat. But he led an expedition that actually found a tomb of, I think it was a viceroy in Kemet. I'm
Okay.
gonna find it. Matter of fact, hold on. So you go ahead and build. Since I'm gonna find that and throw it in the chat. Cause that's a big deal, and I think it happened this year.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, you're asking about what someone does. Again, it's about tangibility, and that's what's coming into question. The question is, where is what you said was supposed to happen, or where is the evidence that things are being done correctly? That there is there's a sign of progress, because as far as I can see, there is no real sign of any progress. It's just still going around to different parts, giving a good speech, taking the money, and I mean, not to mention that there might be cash involved and PayPal, and there's all these different streams, and there's still no sign of anything being done. I mean, I heard about the whole, oh, give me a resume and blah blah blah, and people handing in resumes and stuff like that, and then it goes nowhere. I mean, you're just leading people on, and you can't keep leading people on, because then that's when people become disillusioned and say, well, if they end up do realizing, basically, I've just been had. Someone's just led me along. Here's me putting all my time, effort. People invest emotionally in it because it's something that they really believe in. Because don't get me wrong, the idea is great. It's needed, you know, and then when you think that you found the right person to do it because they articulate well, they explain things well, and it's not like he's lying. He doesn't lie like that, is what he's saying. So it's like, he's telling all this truth. It can't be a lie. He's so honest in everything else that he's saying that it can't be a lie. So then when something happens like this, now people don't know what to believe, refuse to believe it, even though it's there clear in their face that, look, something isn't right here. And they just, they just don't go, they just let it happen, and then kind of just let the chips fall where they may. Yes, that would be how it is.
All right, I'm back. I threw the link of the restoration. I think his speaking on this. Take a quick break from Umar. Speaking about Tony Browder, he actually has a Asa Hilliard restoration project that the brother is doing in Kemet, and I think I'm not gonna say it's all financed by the family, but majority of his contributions comes from the family.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, some good finds, tombs in Luxor. The brother is finding, and I apologize in correction. It was last year. The tomb he found was in Luxor from 8th century BC. So, I mean, these are the individuals that Tariq Nasheed had in his documentary. That it wasn't just Umar Johnson. I
Right.
think
I mean,
Umar Johnson
and to say that it's because of you, it blew up is just. I mean, think about it. So from what I understand, but prior to him going on that, he wasn't really known. Professor Smalls is known.
oh,
Anthony
absolutely.
Browder is known. Everyone else on there is known. I knew about Booker T. Coleman before I knew about Umar. So, you know, they already have their fan bases. They've been probably doing what they've been doing longer than he's been alive. And so now that great, you get to see them in a visual form and being able to learn visually, and
I mean, he had Michelle Alexander, and for
then
those who don't know, for Michelle Alexander, she wrote a book called The New Jim Crow, and I recommend everybody to go read it.
oh, I've heard of that book. Yeah.
She definitely uses statistics. She uses surveys and census, real data to show and prove how the prison school to prison pipeline and the prison system is, what I'm saying, a direct grandchild of slavery. And she calls it the book, The New Jim Crow. It's a great book. It's not that many pages, like 200, 250, but the sister breaks it down. She definitely did her thing with that book. But also, he had Claude Anderson, uh, Renuko Rashidi, Phil Valentine.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about Booker T. Coleman, and I knew about Booker T. Coleman as well just from watching like Sinetta and some of the old tapes and DVDs.
Right.
So it wasn't at all just Umar Johnson, in which I didn't know who Umar Johnson was until I saw Hidden Colors too.
You see, that's the thing. All these people had their own clout from the early 2000s, the late 90s, the early 90s, the late 80s, the early 80s, possibly into the 70s, and so on and so forth. People with like 40 years max, or might maybe slightly over of history and work and notoriety of what they do. So for you now to come along, kind of unknown, okay, cool. You studied and you've got these credentials to your name. That's cool. That's great. But you're being really egotistical and saying, "Oh, if it wasn't for me, this wouldn't have happened." But then the
Like
ones
Professor
without
James
you are still doing really well, maybe even better. I don't know. I don't know,
But
but
I'm saying
they're still
Professor
doing good.
Small doesn't get that credit. You know what I'm saying? The elder Booker T. Coleman doesn't get that credit for making that thing pop.
Right, for
I
all
mean,
the work
for
that
me,
they've
if
done.
I was right for the work that they put in for those many years. And we know, what I'm saying, some of the credentials of these men and women.
Right.
I will humble myself a little bit. And I don't like the word humble, but I will most definitely kind of take a step back and let the ancestors and the elders have that before I would jump out and say I made that DVD pop when I have an elder on there like Professor James Small.
Right. And so, I mean, it's just messy. It's just really, really messy. And then you had like the whole, it's weird because we were talking about colorism before, and
Oh,
then
that's
he
a good
was,
segue.
hmm?
I was saying that's a good segue. That's something that I wanted to put to bed tonight and deal with that.
Yeah, and dealing with the colorism and the whole, like the albino comments that he made and stuff like that. I mean, it just doesn't get any better. So from dealing with whoever you were dealing with and getting exposed, and then you're talking about people's skin color, but it's now the shoes on the other foot, where instead of the light skinned person going on a dark skinned person, it's a dark skinned person going on a light skinned person, and not only that, but then you're bringing up someone with an anomaly like albinism, which they can't help. It's not a thing of skin color. You cannot produce melanin. It's a thing that they can't do. And then kind of, in a sense, making light of it by saying that every time that you look in the mirror, you see a white man. That's colorism. You know,
I mean, colorism. You did a show a while back, not the show with the sister Nikki Justice, but you did a show a while back talking about colorism, and that's like, and I remember what I said on that show. That's one of the things that you couldn't do in my grandma's house.
mm,
That's one of the things that'll get you smacked across the face so fast is to sit there and think you better or worse because of how the hue of your skin. She didn't have that in her house, and that's why typically I don't like having those kinds of discussions because I believe they're counterproductive, and it's an immediate form of divisiveness because we know that some of us may be a little bit lighter or darker, and it ain't because there may be a European in our bloodline. It could be where we were from back on, what I'm saying, back in Africa.
mm-hmm.
We put up the UV scan map multiple times. So, I mean, we brought up the Khoisan people who are light skinned and they're one of the oldest populations on the planet, and they're not jet black. So to sit here and go back and forth with people, and especially albinoism, which is, I remember what Dr. Clark said one time: if you got a problem with your skin color, you got a problem with your mother and father. You
Mm-hmm.
know,
Right. I mean, well, albinism. That's a thing. It's a
it's a
I guess
disease.
it's a medical condition.
Absolutely, that's not
Right.
something I'm gonna go after a brother or sister on because they're albino.
Right. So I mean, like I said, the whole colorism thing is foreign to me. Like in my family, there's the whole banter. we can banter, but it doesn't ever get to a thing of I'm better because I'm light skinned, and I mean, the majority of my family are dark skinned. I'm light skinned, but the majority are dark skinned. But it's just always been a thing of banter, like people call me yellow or whatever, red, other stupid names and stuff like that.
Right, but you wasn't putting yourself above someone else.
But never, no,
I'm not gonna,
never.
I'm pretty sure if all of us go down, go to ancestry.com. I'm gonna plug them. I like what the brother Rick Kittles is doing over there. But you go to ancestry.com, or if you choose another DNA testing service, go ahead, go down there and get you a DNA test. I'm pretty sure you're gonna have some form or percentage of European in your bloodline. Period.
More than likely, yeah, more than likely.
More than likely, it's gonna be in there somewhere. So,
and there's nothing that you can do about it. That's just what it is.
It is what it is.
So, if someone's light skinned, they can't help it the same way that you can't help your dark skin. So, for you now to say that because someone is light skinned, every time they look in the mirror they see a white man, that's something in you that you have an issue with. Maybe you were taunted, bullied, felt some kind of way.
And that's what I said in the chat yesterday. I said he probably was bullied when he was younger. Cause that's like projection.
Right.
He feel that way about himself.
Because it's not like Seti said, you dark this or you black this or anything like that. He didn't bring up anything like that. So now you are coming out angry. Now you could have just addressed the issues that you had, but then you want to go into the skin color topic, which no one brought up. So that says more about you.
And that seems to be I've seen that a lot. And you made a great point. Said he didn't mention, that brother's skin color. He didn't even bring it up.
He said he was fat. He said he's you fat, you have a big belly, you have man boobs. Okay, cool.
But that's that trump card. I'm gonna start talking about how light skinned you is, because if I do that, because I'm a light skinned brother as well, I'm not the darkest brother. But that's a way to try to delegitimize, the SETI and the movement. You know what I mean? Now I'm not gonna deal with the information that you give, and I'm gonna throw a red herring in there and talk about your hue.
Right. But then no one says anything about that now. But if the shoe was on the other foot, if he said you dark, you black, this, that, and the other, tar baby, skillet, all that kind of stuff, it would be hell. It would be hell. He'd be castigated. He self-hates. He hates dark-skinned people. Blah blah blah. We'd hear about it all up to now. So then you see, this is where the pitting against the light skin and the dark skin comes into place, because now I don't even want to really even say it like this, but this is the only way I can verbalize it. Now it's like light skinned people have to sit back and be like, oh, okay. So it's okay for you to say something, but if we say something, we're the devil. But it's okay for you to say something because, in the past, dark skinned people have been put down more, which is true. But that doesn't make things any better that now, you can just say whatever about light-skinned people and we just have to take it.
I mean, you're feeding into the methods of the oppressor. That's what the Europeans do. The Europeans.
But doing it in a way of self-gratification to make you feel better because of what's happened.
Right. No, I definitely agree with you. And I think, one of the big things that happened this year in regards to like the US and you see certain demonstrations across and like in the UK is Colin Kaepernick. I believe it was in 2016 when Jesse Williams accepted an award, and he kind of, it may have been early 2017, but Jesse Williams kind of, threw his black fist up.
Yeah, I remember.
So instead of dealing with, what Jesse Williams had said, people got after the brother because he wasn't, how they say, fully black, because he may be mixed or whatever have you. This year, the brother Colin Kaepernick kind of sent waves throughout the world with his, demonstration. And let me be clear, I'm a U.S. Army vet with 10 years and 6 deployments. I've been overseas multiple times as a contractor and as, a soldier. I don't have one problem in the manner in which that brother chose to protest. And I think anybody that do, really need to look in the mirror. But one of the things that was kind of, I ain't gonna say it hurt Colin Kaepernick, but within the community, where people started to question, was he black enough? to make that kind of statement. Did how was it in the UK? Did y'all kind of feel what Colin Kaepernick was doing there?
I mean, the media were making a spectacle about it, and sort of going into it like they touched on it lightly, and they made a point because we have the NFL here now. When I think it was the Dolphins versus what's that team from New Orleans? Is it the Saints?
The Saints.
Yeah. Um, like they had here, people were kneeling at the national anthem, so that people were making a point. But then it was weird when they stood up for "God Save the Queen," which still baffles me. But the media touched on it, and people are like kind of in support, and then some people don't really care. I mean, to be honest, for the most part, the UK doesn't really care about USA issues because it's just like, and people are just like, why are you reporting on that kind of stuff? We don't care. We have stuff in the UK, and people say, oh, we're not trying to hear about racism in the UK, and we just don't, let it go away, kind of thing. But
I think I had told you before about the Germany soccer team. They had knelt in solidarity for Colin Kaepernick, and no one
yeah,
really liked to
I
talk.
think I can remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, they kneeled in Berlin actually, um, and I think that's powerful in the sense not necessarily that they're doing it, but the message is getting around the world. Um, I don't we don't have time to sit here and go back and forth about who change is heavier. Our goal is just to get out the chains.
Right,
I mean,
but that's what we start doing is like, like you said, the whole is he black enough? Uh, you know, he's mixed. Does he have a right to say? And I can understand where people are coming from because you have to look at the history. Mixed people have had kind of a wishy-washy history. Some have been great, some have been absolutely terrible, some have appeared great and have been terrible. You find out later. So it's like you need to define what side that you're on. You're either on our side or you're on their side, and one that comes from both heritages, that's even harder for them.
right, and we talked about that before in our our back chats. Is you can't straddle the fence. You can't play both sides of the fence. You can't be on our side when it's beneficial for you, and then hop back on the other side when it gets too hot. You
Right.
have to choose. Now if people have issues with the fence straddlers, then I agree with you.
At
But
the same time, what you can't expect for someone to do is demonize their parentage. They can't help who their parents are. That's the thing. They can't help it. Now, if you let's say you have someone who's mixed and says, okay, I identify more with black people, like in the UK, for instance, a lot of it's kind of weird actually. A lot of mixed people have black dads, white mums, raised with a white mum, but kind of are raised black, if that makes sense. So they're raised around a lot of black people.
the social statuses they're hanging around,
Hmm?
black folks. Yeah,
Yeah, right. Right. So like, really if you kind of just put them in with a group of black people, you kind of wouldn't know that they're mixed maybe until you told them, or unless they kind of look more mixed and stuff like that. But they're still considered black. They're still looked on as black, even if we want to say, hey, we don't want to claim them because, they're not fully black and blah blah blah. They're still seen as black, and some of them do identify as black. They feel like they have no other choice but to identify as black because of, what goes on and stuff like that. So what you can't really do is like I don't feel it's right to just say, hey, well, don't come over here. If you're gonna come on this side, then cool, but you have to stay on this side. You can't jump to the other side when it's convenient.
you get one chance.
That's the only
What
thing.
I mean? You get one chance. In wars, traitors don't get another opportunity to get on the battlefield. They're either
Right.
in prison or they're executed. You know what I mean? So I'm not for any like I said before, fence straddlers. Who you with? You got it now, especially with Donald Trump in office. Some of the officials that are now inside of the White House and inside of these Congresses and parliaments, you're gonna have to make a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying that these individuals are our friends, but we most definitely you need allies.
Right. So what you shouldn't do is create enemies before your friends. Like there's no point in creating enemies, and then when you might need them, because they can kind of go between both sides, and if let's say if they needed info and stuff like that, they can do that. So
Exactly.
now you're creating more enemies. You complain about the one you have. Now you've made two. You can barely fight the one. What are you gonna do with two? Like, to me, it just doesn't make sense.
They're going in on his like Tariq, they were going in on his wife. That's one of the things. I'm not getting into that. I'm not gonna say, you know, I got some flack because I wouldn't admit that she was a white woman. I mean, you look at her, she's not a white woman. If she mixed, cool, but I'm not gonna call you.
Well,
It's
I mean,
not a
no, she's not
it's
white.
not a
She's
all
mixed.
she's mixed. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not going. We're gonna speak factual about it. We're not going. You know, speak conjecture.
It's the emotional part of it. That's the thing. It's the emotional part of it. So if let me think of an analogy. Okay, if you have black paint and white paint and put it together and mix it, you don't have white paint. You have grey paint. You don't have white paint. You don't have black paint. You have grey paint. So for you now to say that because she's got a white parent makes her white, it doesn't quite work like that. Genes don't work like that. Genetics just don't work like that. You can't just say that. But that's emotional thinking. It's just, there's no real base behind it. That's just how someone feels.
I can agree. It's definitely emotional, but that's why it may be something. I think it's also personal. Maybe they may have been picked on because they were light skinned or they were dark skinned, and to them that's an issue. But to me, I mean, we need to do a show. I will, and I will put up all the biracial or so-called mixed, you know, Black liberation pioneers for the family so they can see them. I'll do a whole PowerPoint presentation because that's one of the things that I feel that should not enter 2018. I do not want. I shouldn't see sisters of different who's going back and forth at each other, trying to argue who's more black or who's more African than the other one. That's divisive. We can't move forward with that because you instantly gonna start an argument.
Right. I mean, the whole darkism thing took me by surprise because I'm thinking, is that still a topic in 2017? Is that still a thing? Because kind of in the networks and the video channels and stuff like that we're going through, I don't think it's really been much of an issue. It's never been a thing of like one channel only particularly has light-skinned people on it, given the general consensus for all. So why bring that up in a place where it's not a thing?
It's like making it a thing.
Because it's just
I
really
think how it
weird
was
to me.
introduced. I think it was introduced this year when the sister Rashida, I think that's her name. She did a
Yeah.
show. I forgot what platform she was on. I don't want to misspeak, but she did a show, and I didn't even think it was an actual, like you said, I didn't think it was a thing. I thought it was like some small section of the community that participated in. I didn't think it was this large mainstream effort to pit the family against each other. And I think what sparked it was, or her bill was a music video by Kendrick Lamar.
Oh
And
yeah.
and I think that he had light skin or dark skin, whatever it was. I guess people took offense to it and kind of called him out. And for those in
Yeah.
the
Well,
family,
what it was, it's because I think his fiance or wife is light skinned, but the women in the video were dark skinned, so they're like, oh, well, which one do you want then?
yes. And Kendrick Lamar is one of the most conscious hip hop artists. I really don't listen to too much hip hop, unless some old school stuff. But like a J. Cole, Wale, and Kendrick Lamar, I listen to them guys. And that's one of the most conscious brothers rapping, that's out right now. I understand if it was like some other these new kids, like Migos or something like that, which I'm not saying don't listen to him, but he's not that type of artist. So I think he had a recent video where he had like all kind of shades of women, but it's like with some people in the family, it's like you gotta draw a line. You either gonna be team dark skin or team light skin. No, I'm trying to be team family. We don't have time, like I said before, we don't have time to sit here and go back and forth about whose chains is heavier. We all in chains. Our goal should be getting out these chains. Period.
Right.
Yeah.
That's a really good point about the whole team dark skin, team light skin thing, because in my opinion, from what I see, this is gonna turn into a whole anti light skin, anti mixed thing. Like what, because when I was addressing it on my channel the last time, it kind of went from kind of the colorism into the mix into the colorism, because I guess you can say that the whole light skin and mix thing is kind of interchangeable. That's what I noticed, is that people kind of interchange it, because now instead of, okay, it might not be mixed people, but then the light skinned people are in power. Which to me, I don't fully believe that. It can happen definitely, but I don't fully believe it's a thing of light skinned people trying to crush dark skinned people by taking over politics and, you know, fraternities and all this kind of stuff. Like, I just haven't seen any proof of that. And then, you know, who puts these people into power then? Because I don't think you can blame. Like, all right, let's say you can't blame the light skinned slave for where he is because of his skin if the white man puts him in his position. You can't do that.
Now,
It's not
now,
his. It's
now,
not
if
his fault.
the
He's light skinned.
if the light skinned slave is utilizing his position to downgrade into, shit on the darker one, then yes, we could say that. But if you don't have no proof of that, if you can't provide me names and show me where these people are doing, it's like for the individuals who go after Colin Kaepernick. He has a website, Kaepernick7.com. If anybody wants to question what his brother's putting his money where his mouth is, you can go see it. The individuals that he's helping are light skin or dark skin or medium. It's not no team light skin versus team dark skin deal. And I think when we attack that brother, because I think his situation is different than the Eminem situation.
What's the Eminem
Now,
situation?
well, Eminem, BT had a award
Oh,
show
the cipher. Oh, yeah,
right
yeah.
now. Now, why wasn't really people going after Eminem?
He's a token.
He had an album coming
Yeah.
out, so I don't think he really cared, because where was he when these other issues that have happened within the community? Why didn't you go to the American Music Awards and do that same cipher? They wouldn't have gave him that platform, I guarantee it. But he should have been given the same type of issues that Colin Kaepernick got. I've watched it, and you can go and check and verify the money. The brother's doing what he says he's doing. Now I don't have time to argue with who his mama is or who his daddy is.
And he
Colin,
can't help that.
he chose. You can't choose your mother and father, but he just chose a side. And if you don't want to say he's a friend, you should at least say he's an ally.
That's true. That's a really good statement.
At least say he's an ally. But I wouldn't tell family to not support him, because he put his career on the line. And I can understand the family that says, "Hey, I would have did it," because of course he risked his career.
Hmm.
And I'm not asking every professional athlete to do the same thing. I'm not asking of you that, because I can't pay your rent. I can't pay your car payment. It seems like that brother has a plan with what he's doing. So if anything, let's treat him like an ally. Let's not jump on every light skinned brother or sister that's out here trying to make some changes happen for us. They chose a side.
Right. I mean, now if it's like, let's say the NAACP or anything else like that, then fine, I would understand given the history. But I mean, like you said, he's not just saying I'm just helping light skinned people, you know, and that's it. I'm just gonna cater to light skinned people. He's doing for light skin, dark skin, medium, you know, tanned, whoever, albino, whoever, you know. And he, like you said, he's chosen his side. If he proves that if he goes onto the other side, then we say, okay, cool. Then you just cut all ties with it. You don't need to. It doesn't have to be a thing of always investing your emotions into something. You see he's doing something good, you say, okay, cool, he's doing something good. Until
Exactly. Go do
then,
your own thing. Do your own thing.
right. Now, if he shows himself to not be true, then okay. You just have to cut ties. But it never has to be a thing of, you see, this is why I told you can't trust light skinned people or mixed people, or, you know, oh, they've got one white parent and you know, so, you know, you can't trust them, and, you know. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I haven't really heard anything bad about Adam Clayton Powell. But if you look at him, I would just assume he's some kind of tanned white man. He didn't look black to me.
So I have, I got a list. I definitely have a list of individuals that I was going to do a build on, and he's one of them. I mean, integrity from what history shown is out of this world.
Right.
A man
I mean,
who told
he's
people to
someone who
call
I
him a
heard
black.
saying black is beautiful.
Absolutely, he did.
Black is right. And look at what he looks like. You look at him.
Today they'll
He
be
was
getting at Adam Clayton Powell if he was out in front of the people.
sorry. So they would be what?
I think they'll be getting after him like they are like your Jesse Williams and the Colin Kaepernick. You know,
Right. But from what I read, he kind of gave up his privileges that he could have had in education and things like that because he could blend in, and he said, you know what, nah, I'm gonna go. I choose my side, and this is the side that I stick on, and he stuck on that side until the very end. So, what was he a bad guy? Because he really think about it. They don't have to, but they chose to, and they stuck to it. Be grateful, because from what I heard, he did a lot of good things for the Harlem community. So just be grateful. Who his parents are, he can't help. Who his grandparents are, he can't help. But the point is, he said, you know what? I see black people as my people. I see that they're in huge trouble. Let me use the fact that I can blend into white society as a way to get into power to give to them. And he did that.
if you guys want to pull up this quote by do you know who Edison Sewell is?
No.
Edison Sewell. I might pull up a quote. My uncle threw up a quote at him earlier. I just wanted to read it for the family, which is a thing that is hard to he was a doctor in Zimbabwe. But he made a quote and it said, each time I fight for African rights, I use only one hand because the other hand is too busy trying to keep away Africans who are fighting me.
Oh, that's a really good quote.
I mean, it kind of, I mean, this is like 1971 when I believe when he made this statement, and you can see it today.
Wow. That's deep.
I mean, family, we don't have, I'm gonna keep saying it, we don't have time to argue over whose chains is heavier. In 2018, to move forward, I'm not saying that this whole grandiose, so one team, one fight, everyone's unified thing is feasible because everyone have their own mores, you have your own belief systems. But if we can't, even though we have our own internal issues, if we don't at this point in time, in 2018 for some, in 2017 for the other, who your enemy is, who doesn't care what your hue is, who doesn't care what ideology or school of thought you come from, if we can't unify for this purpose, and then when we become fully liberated, then deal with our own internal stuff, and you can go your way, I can go mine. But if we can't unify right now, I don't think what's gonna happen. I don't know, sis. You tell me. I don't know what's gonna make us unify. We can't unify right now.
I mean, it's not gonna be a whole thing of everyone's gonna be on the same accord, so I can't say unify. But there has to be agreement. There needs to be some kind of agreement. What will make that agreement happen, to be perfectly honest, I don't know. Because you've got people going into all this fringe madness, and it's now come to a thing of division on genetic, not religious, but genetics, who you actually are, your genesis, where you come from. So for me, being really perfectly clear and honest, someone that says I'm indigenous to the West or to the Americas, I can't go with you. I can't, because where we conflict at is our genesis. So what you're saying to me is I'm someone completely different. I'm a completely different racial group, ethnic group. So I can't work with you. Because now the division's gotten so deep into that. I can't figure out where people can unify, because before it was kind of like, okay, we know that we're all the same people and blah blah blah, but now we're saying that we originate from different parts of the world, and that's what makes the deep divide. So I really couldn't say what could unite anybody, or unify people, or come to some kind of agreement, but there would have to be some kind of agreement. What it would be, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know. That's one of the things that I think about a lot actually. I mean, the brother global African tribalism build on a lot in chats. It's like how we see certain communities like the Gullah, we see certain communities. Um, I just had it right on the tip of my tongue. Communities like the Gullah that actually set up many nations.
Right. And they've got their own kind of united nations, because you've got like the Gullah, the Maroons, the Americans. You have all these different groups, but they can all agree on their genesis. They know where they came from. They can agree. Yeah, they know where they came from. They can agree on where they came from, and they all have a similar, or if not the same, agenda to move forward. In this network, in this pool of people, everyone's got their own kind of little thing going on, and it's all confusion. So you got like a school of fish, and every kind of fish is different within the same pool. How is anyone supposed to kind of know where they are, or know who's with them and what? It's just everyone is different, so
You
we
know,
can't we
knowing your
can't make a
heritage is
decision.
important. Knowing your heritage is very important. Um,
Right. And so now you've got people denying their own heritage and denying people of their heritage. So for me, I get offended if someone says, "You're not from Africa, your ancestors aren't from Africa," when I know mine's are. You can't dispute that. And you're telling me that I'm stuck in some America with no culture, no proof of a culture. To me, that's offensive. That makes me not want to have to work with you, because I say, okay, so you're going to take my culture from me, you're going to debase me from my culture, and give me what? You have nothing to give me.
give you Christmas
So
and
you're taking
Valentine's
away
Day.
people. Yeah, so no, go on. You're making a good point about Christmas and Valentine's Day.
And I know I said they're gonna give you Christmas and Valentine's Day and Columbus Day, and you have to live these, you know, fictitious narratives, you know, and that's hard. People don't
Right?
want to give people don't
Or
want to give that
indigenous
stuff
people
away.
give you nothing.
They give you nothing. What language do you speak? And like I said, for someone who believes that they're indigenous, I'm not telling you that you aren't. What I'm asking of you is don't come and tell me that I'm indigenous. Don't play me out like I'm crazy because I don't believe, because I know
Right.
exactly where I come from. I don't need a DNA test to tell me where I'm from. My oral history tells me where I'm from. And for those who, I don't know if you haven't, go to the Amara Squad Media. I believe it's Amara Squad TV. They actually interviewed Dr. Rick Kittles from African ancestry, and he broke it down.
Right.
Um,
So this is a black I guess he'd be what, a geneticist?
he's a geneticist.
Right. He's breaking it down. He's explaining to you it's not this mystical, all the conspiracy that people put on it. He's breaking it down. He wasn't evasive. He wasn't kind of, trying to dodge any questions. He explained it, but there's always gonna be people that will say, "Ah, well, he's just saying that," kind of thing. The devil's advocate. There's always gonna be a devil's advocate, which just clouds everything. People don't really know what to believe. But like you said, okay, if you want to be indigenous, cool. Don't tell me I am then, because when we come to that discussion, the burden of proof is on you to challenge the consensus, because we can prove it more. You have nothing to prove it with, and you can't bring anything for us to show us otherwise. Don't call us dumb. Don't call us names and stuff like that. Proof. And we're happy to stick to it. Our people, the same people that we believe that we are related to, still exist today.
Absolutely.
But that's just what it is. I mean, if you want to be something else, then be something else. But don't expect me to be unifying or saying I agree with you, because if to me you're just saying you're from another ethnic group, and then I just can't unify with someone that's not that's from somewhere else. The same way that I'm not trying to unify with a Siberian, then I'm not trying to unify with someone that says that they're from the Americas, because I'm not from the Americas. Brought to, but I'm not from the Americas. So then we're on two different pages. So we have to be realistic in that sense and be honest and say, you know what, it's not always going to be this kumbaya, everyone's going to hold hands and we're all going to move as one. That's not going to happen. Never has happened in human history, to be honest. There's always been people that are naysayers and detractors. That's just what it is.
I mean, I agree. I can go talk to my grandmother at any time and ask her about her grandmother. I've sat and talked to her mother. So the argument and that goes for not only individuals who believe that they're indigenous or have some proof, not to be disrespectful, but keep that ideology on your side of the house. I think that's another issue. People are not going to unite based off the fact that you're not a Christian. People are not going to unite based off the fact that you're not a Hebrew or a Muslim. Some, not all. But it's like we don't have a understanding of who we are and where we came from. I mean, we lost, especially when you have, and it is somewhat disrespectful when you have elders and you had ancestors who, for the most part, put their careers and lives on the line to bring you this information, and for you to say that they're, to the point where these educational institutions had to change their curriculum. I mean, it's almost somewhat a slap in the face to Sheikh Anta Diop and Theophilo Banga. My brothers went in there and handled their business in 1975. We just gonna throw that out and say they pseudo
Right.
and say
And
they
the
crazy
people
stuff.
that do that aren't on the same caliber. These are people that actually went out, really studied, and brought it to the highest point that you can bring it to. Now we've got people that, because YouTube exists and you've got Google, I'll Google a few things, and they're wrong. They're wrong. This person's pseudo. They're fake. This doesn't exist. They were paid. It's just disrespectful, because you're not on the same level as them. And I'm not even talking about someone that has degrees or credentials, because I don't have degrees or credentials, but I'd like to think I'm quite smart. I only went to high school and that was it. So, you don't have to have a degree, but you have to at least have worked to have some kind of validation as to what you're saying, rather than just saying that you read and you never traveled, you didn't leave your living room. And now you think you know something. So it's just really rude, really disrespectful to people that have actually worked quite hard, and risked their careers. People have died broke, died with health issues, and couldn't afford to, help their health issues. For someone to come out and just say, "Oh, well, your work was crap anyway," it's just rude.
I agree, sis. Sad, but we're going into a new year, and hopefully these issues that we experience within the family can be, settled. Like this is one of them times where I say, hopefully an elder out there see these brothers in regards to Tariq Nasheed and Dr. Umar Johnson. Pull those brothers to the side and go behind closed doors and get it handled because the babies and the youth is out here watching and how we look, telling them to keep the peace and put the guns down and build with your brother and build with your sister. If we're not building as the generations that's ahead of them, we have to be able to
Yeah, I mean,
show
young
lead
people are
by
looking
example.
and they just think you guys are crazy. Like that's what they're thinking. I mean, to be honest, like, sometimes I still say to myself, why even bother? Because I've been watching maybe since I was like 15. Yeah, since I was like maybe wait, it's been like five. We're in 2018 now. Yeah, since I was like maybe 14, 15. and all the kind of madness and stuff like that goes on, it turns a lot of people off. That's the thing. Like like you had a young Marcus. I don't know where he is now, but there was so much drama and kind of nonsense with people that are old enough to be your parents and grandparents. It just makes you not want to have to deal with it. It just turns people off. And then you've got all the drama. There's always that yearly drama with so and so, and always scandal this, and people debate that and argue this and fight that. And I want to, when I see you, I see you. It's on site, and like it's an oxymoron to call yourself some kind of woke or conscious community. And then whenever you get into some kind of disagreement, things then have to go to the streets, but then you're trying to get people out the streets. It just doesn't make any sense. I mean, I'd like to be optimistic, but to me, you have to see it to believe it. Because it's been 2 years in a row now that the end of the year has been some kind of huge drama issue.
You made a great point. I didn't even think about that because last year, if I'm not mistaken, it was the SETI and Amara squad issue with the debate, right?
And it got real vulgar,
Personal.
inviting people's mothers to certain places, and calling people at ridiculous hours, and the cussing back and forth, and the more N-words than at a Klan rally. And here we come now, end of 2017. We've got court hearing in January, potential misuse of money, which is all alleged. I don't know. You've got, I'm going to tie your beard into Bantu knots and make you my bitch. And, we boxing ring, and, we can get in the ring and fight. It's just silly. I like the drama, but looking at it, it's stupid. It's really stupid and unnecessary for someone that's supposed to be a doctor, a PhD, someone that's supposed to be a movie director, and you're supposed to have some kind of tack about yourself.
I mean, that's one thing, just from doing my own research and study. That's one of the things that we've always had plaguing us in a sense is we may not agree with what the other side is doing in regards to family issues, to bring up Du Bois and Booker T. But I highly doubt if, they ever invited each other's mothers to their private parts. They can intellectually have those kind of disputes, put it on paper, but the individual's gonna roll with Booker T, roll with Booker T. Those who roll with Du Bois, roll with Du Bois. Those brothers never try to, take it personal and I think in the way in which we see it done today. And like I said before, you made a great point by bringing up last year because, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Rickettyama was going to be at that debate. Dr. Professor Mario Beatty was going to be at that debate. Professor Small and a whole bunch of elders. It was going to be almost like a star-studded event. Now, I'm not saying that it wasn't worth the conversation, but it should have stayed just that, a conversation. It shouldn't have been any name calling. I mean, it was just, and for people who were so-called elders within the community were the main ones participating in it. And I think
that's it just turned into a huge shitstorm. And it's etched in people's memory because I remember it. And even back then, I'm just you just, when you're not a part of the drama and you're not vested in it, what you end up doing is sitting back and watching the drama. And that's why I find it funny, because I just sit back and I just think, look at this show. You got people calling names and making threats, and bearing in mind this is all over the internet. So even if you delete the video, some data bank has got that video of you making threats and doing all this kind of stuff. But then let's say if the police got involved or some kind of authority got involved, then you're going to complain. It's like, you just have to sit back and watch. Things can just be civil. They can be really civil if people would just stop being so emotional and feeling that you're bigger than what you are. Chief, you need workers. sometimes just chill out and stand out. You don't always have to be up in the front, and just learn how to be in the back sometimes. If you have a disagreement about a contract, you hash it out way before the event, so that everything is ironed out, everything is clear. Everyone agrees to the stipulations, the terms, and the conditions. Not leave it to the last minute. Now we have disagreements. The event needs to go on. F you. Tell your mum to come here and blah blah blah. It was just ridiculous. And then, like you said, like for older people now to kind of see what's going on, and no one really did anything about it. It just got worse and worse and worse until it possibly couldn't get any worse. Now
I
you've
think
got
towards the
people
end,
with.
somebody
Oh, sorry, go on.
no, I think towards the end, there was some elders that stepped up and pulled everyone to the side and was pretty much, if you disagree with the brother on the other side, just don't build with him, don't mention his name, because I was seeing things like people couldn't come to certain places in the U.S. and it was like that's not what it's about. We so quick to go jump and want to beat a brother or sister down, but you won't beat that dude that's in, you know what I'm saying? You won't beat the European down, you know what I mean? Or there were those individuals in your community that's stealing from you,
Mm-hmm.
or organize against them. Show that same anger and aggression towards a known enemy that's for hundreds of years been putting a foot on your neck. This infighting, and we're not going nowhere with this infighting. I feel like the progression could be so much faster if we chose to just deal with the people who you want to deal with. If you disagree with somebody, don't even engage or involve yourself with them. You see what I'm saying? Move
Right.
forward.
Yeah, exactly. If you don't like someone, stay away from them. If they disrespect you, you address it. That's the thing. I think people as well think it's just the whole thing of like, and then when people don't say anything, and that's when you have this disdain, you get this resentment towards people. So then when they do something small, it kind of sets you off. Like the whole thing of, oh, you dirty midget. You every time you look into the mirror, you see a white man, or you know, um, I'm the most requested, and I'm this and I'm that, and you ain't nothing kind of thing, because things weren't addressed before. So now when something happens, then that's when the whole "I'm gonna expose you" thing comes out. Like no one deals with their problems head on. Like if there's a problem, just deal with the problem, get it out the way. If you don't want to, if after you deal with that issue, if you don't like the person, just stay away. Don't deal with them. That's all you have to do. You don't have to involve yourself with people if you don't want to. Just because they're black doesn't mean that you have to involve yourself with them. But it's like people want to have this utopian idea on how to deal with each other. Like we should all just be able to talk to each other, and people aren't going to get along. That's just what it is. You have whites within the white community that don't get along, Chinese within the Chinese that don't get along. You have tribes that don't get along. Like we shouldn't be expecting this utopia, and I think that we're just not being realistic with all of what's going on. So when things go wrong, we don't know how to address it, because it's like you're kind of heartbroken, like, oh, I can't believe this person did this. We're supposed to be like this, and we kind of just don't think. We're not thinking straight. We're just not thinking properly. That's how I
And
see
I
it.
think we have an issue. Every person from the community that gets a camera in front of their face, that doesn't automatically make them a leader. And I think for those that we have chosen to be leaders, we can't put them on a pedestal. All of us are human. We're gonna make mistakes. And I think when we challenge someone's character, I think that's when we start to make some mistakes in a sense. Like in reference to Umar, I don't think Umar is, a agent that came within the community to mess nothing up. Do I think the brother made some mistakes in the way in which he planned the school? Does he owe the family on this school? Absolutely. But I'm not gonna say he you know, agent that's trying to mess stuff up. And I'm not gonna be used by the enemy to put that brother down either. That's not gonna happen. That's why I feel like any disputes that we have internally should be dealt with internally. I'm not running the Vlad TV. You see what I'm saying? I'm not running the Power 105. Nothing like that. Even though those shows have, you know, black hosts, you know what I mean? But still, that needs to be handled within the community. So when we go out the door, like my grandfather used to make me and my cousins, you know, fight in the backyard. Now, when it was over, win, lose, or draw, when you go back out in that front yard, you moving as a united front. I may fight my cousin, but you can't. Somebody on the outside ain't gonna fight my cousin.
Right,
You see
right.
what I'm saying? Like when we go out in front of the people, we're gonna be a united front. And I think that's what is sometimes being lost. We like to, as a family, we like to attack each other because we think we had this savior complex. Like he's a human. Any of the elders or ancestors we ever had, the mistakes they made, they were human.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but we shouldn't
Right.
be.
It's
We
just
shouldn't
don't
allow
puff
ourselves.
yourself up like that.
Right. Absolutely.
Sometimes I think it's best to keep your mouth shut and don't always say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm it. Because when you're doing that, you're building up this messiah image, I'm this, I'm that, and you just think, oh wow, well, can he not get any better? He's this and he's that. So when he does something now, which shows that obviously he's like every other human being, is flawed in some kind of way, people's image gets shattered. And you think, oh my gosh, look what he's done. Now I can't trust him. Now look at this. I have to question this and I have to question that and I have to question this and I have to question that. At the same time, you shouldn't puff yourself up to be this, that, and the other and constantly throwing out what you've got and what you think you are. And I'm the prince of this and I'm the king of that and I'm the chief of this. Then you have to, you're accountable for everything that comes to you. Because kings get questioned, chiefs get questioned, leaders get questioned. And you've put yourself there. So now when people are questioning you and you don't know how to handle it, that's on you. So people's egos need to be more level. You don't always have to. I mean, if you have self-esteem issues, then you sort out your self-esteem issues. Because it's like, I don't even want to say this, but it's like, people that have some kind of personality disorder tend to have these grandiose ideas about themselves. They're just out the world with their ideas, and I'm this, and I'm in touch with the royal family, or I know the president, or that kind of stuff. Like that, that's an issue that needs to be dealt with. If you have ego problems, maybe you need to, I don't know, have some kind of self-reflection and see maybe where you're lacking because you're making up all these things, or if that's your gratitude, I mean, something needs to be sorted out. I mean, I don't claim to be anything. I've never really claimed to be anything. Like, so then if I do something, no one can say, oh, Jay, how could you do this? Because I never claimed to be anything. I didn't claim I was a teacher, a leader. I don't even think I can claim to be a student. But like, I've never put myself in a certain level and position and held myself up to an esteem, especially publicly on TV.
I agree. I don't think any of us really have made that. We haven't stepped up. I mean, like I said, leaders don't call themselves leaders. The people going to see those qualities in you, and it's going to be it's going to be like what's understood ain't got to be said. You know, you don't have to call. We don't have to put labels on ourselves and give ourselves, accolades to try to boost who we are. Like, no, your work's going to speak for itself. That's what we should be really letting
Right.
do. Talking for us is our work. What are we doing for the community? It ain't necessarily got to be different communities. Like what you doing in your household first, your hallway, your block, your street. You know, but
Right. Instead of trying to claim dominion over the world, start like in your backyard. It's just a gradual building process. Just start small and you get bigger and bigger and bigger, and then soon enough you'll flourish into someone that people will respect because people can see what you've got behind you, what you've done. Then that's cool. People work hard and get to positions that they're at. That's cool. That's all you have to do. You don't have to kind of step on people and say, I'm the best and look at where you are. You don't get to go to as many lectures as I do. Or I don't see you with a PhD next to your name. Or I drive a nice car. You take the bus. Like, you don't have to crush people. And that just further pushes the self-hate and the resentment. Is that when people are basically you're flexing on people with the stuff that you have, and knowing that people can't get it, you're teasing them for where they are. It's like there's just so many issues, and it all just comes down to how people see themselves and what they do to make themselves feel better about themselves. I think that's how I see it. It's like, I have to say this and I need to put on this kind of image in front, so when I'm out in the public, I can get all the accolades possible to make me feel good. Because that's what gratifies me as a person.
The family
It's,
gonna rock with you based off your works. You out here making things happen. You bringing forth good information. Like everybody ain't meant to be a president type style. You may be meant to just be a good researcher, good historian. You know, let your work speak for itself. Um, we're not saying one big happy family we all gonna unify, because I don't think that right now. I don't think that's realistic. Um, but if you out there and you see your brother and sister and they not doing something how you would do it, either support them or don't. But you don't have to come out and actually do a whole, like, demean them, call them out their names. Like, just I don't think that stuff is necessary. I think a lot
no,
of people need to
we
go
don't
get
need
it
to
to
do that, and
the
especially not as the
commissary.
first reaction.
Go ahead, sis.
No, just say we don't need to do that, especially as like the kind of the first reaction, like early on. Okay, you have a disagreement, then you're gonna start calling names. Like, can you? Is there no other way to handle this? Can you really not just call someone up on the phone or send them a text or say, meet me at this cafe, we're gonna sit down and have some lunch and we need to hash some issues out. Instead, we need to go on international internet, world wide web, and make each other look stupid. We don't need to do that.
No, I mean, for the family that's out here, like like it, we, Six Dynasty has done a good job chronicling like the Nature Boys, something like that. Most definitely, if you out here and you misleading the people, you taking from the people, maliciously, most definitely you're gonna get dealt with. Most definitely. I'm not saying we shouldn't get at those individuals, but I mean, we gon' for, like, brother Umar Johnson, he made a mistake. Aside from the stuff with the board and his credentials, but he owe us on this school. We need to see something. I think if he came before the people and he actually showed some receipts, showed some ledgers, or he come out and say, hey, listen, I blew the money, something. But just to leave a charge or a challenge or something against you like that, like if you stealing money out there, not saying something is almost as bad as the actual crime itself, because you're almost saying like, yeah, I did it. Yeah, I took it.
Just be honest, come as you are. Black people anyway, we're very, very forgiving, and I mean, not always to each other, but we're forgiving. There's always going to be someone that you can
But you gotta own up
kind
to
of
it.
lean back on, and
You gotta
right.
own up to it. Don't hide and just, create other hysteria to take people's mind off. And no, own up to what you did. Stand out in front of it. You know what I mean?
That's all it's about. Just be honest. Just tell us the truth. If you blew the money, okay. If anything can come from that, it's all right. We need to be more careful with who we give money to. That's it.
Absolutely.
I mean, con artists pay in any kind of way anyway. They get theirs at some point. So I'm not saying he's a con artist. I'm not saying that he's a thief. That he's a con artist or anything like that. But just be transparent, because of the type of thing that you want to do is sensitive, and you cannot do it yourself because you're dealing with people's kids. You're telling parents you have this school open, and parents are getting their hopes up because they can see that their child is struggling. You're giving them all this speech. Now people are wanting to see something come into fruition, and you're not really seeing anything. It raises questions as to, hey, you said that this school's going to be built. My child's suffering. I want to see something happen. And you're met with, I don't know. Like I had one woman he called, oh, she's reactionary. Like you just shut people off. You don't want to hear it. You can't do that. You're dealing with people's kids and you're dealing with people's money. People are trying to do better for their children, educational wise, so they can be well-rounded people. And you're giving them this good speech, but you're writing a check that you can't cash at this point. So just be honest, be transparent. That's the right way to be, so at least people can remember that you did eventually admit it, and then you were honest. You told the truth in the end. You lied at first, but you told the truth in the end. If that's what happened. Because I can't say for sure. I have my own personal feelings, but my personal feelings aren't the truth because I don't know, especially because of where I am. But, kind of from the things that I heard when he came here, because I did go to 2 lectures when he came here, some things were questionable to me, but I kind of ignored it. And over the years, now it's starting to come together in my head from what I see for myself. But I feel that he was genuine. Whether or not he's genuine now, I don't know. But from the beginning, he was genuine from what he was saying.
Yeah, I think that's a genuine brother. I think he just made a, business wise, however how he's handling it, But that's because we haven't seen no ribbon get cut, no ground moving. You know what I mean? We need to see something like that.
Right. Just when someone's asking you a direct question, don't deflect, don't insult them. If you're not comfortable answering the question, let's say on a live forum, just say, contact me, or you make an effort to contact them and answer the questions. Just don't be evasive, because when you're evasive, what else have people got to think other than you're a liar, you're dishonest, you're a thief, you're practicing without a license? Then people have the right to question you and suspect you of being a fraud.
Absolutely.
There's a way that you say, there's a way you carry yourself. If you really don't feel comfortable, you politely say, I'm not comfortable discussing that. If you would like to discuss that, we can do it at this time, at this location. And that's it.
Oh, man, I agree. I think we just had a great show, Sister J. My kids is looking at me. They got all the fireworks. I got
them. The fireworks off.
They ready to go pop these fireworks because they ain't staying up to no 12 because, me and the Queen, we got somewhere to go. But for those in the chat, for those who watching, I appreciate y'all coming through. One thing I'm going to challenge myself with next year is making the platform a little bit bigger, doing a little bit more to try to bring right information. I'm working on that build about the mixed race or whatever, mulatto, whatever people would like to call them. I'm working on that now. I'm at the next show. I'm gonna build on that because I definitely want to squash that the whole colorism idea. Like I said, I think before it's definitely divisive, but I don't think it's appropriate for 2018. We need to leave that in the past. I like to thank Jay for coming through, building with me. Appreciate it, Teresa, Jermaine. I appreciate y'all for coming through. Stay safe in this new year. And I'm going to catch y'all next Sunday, same time, for another Food for Thought Sundays. Appreciate it, Jay.
All right, peace. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Peace.